How to accurately measure your body fat percentage and the changes in it when on a diet. This is actually the main and best thing to measure when you're on a diet to see if you're progressing or not. And in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what are the tools that we have, what are the most reliable and the least reliable ones, and how to actually measure the proper progress or lack thereof when you're trying to lose weight. But before we go there, click the subscribe button below if you haven't already, because on this channel, you're going to learn how to build a strong, healthy, high-performing physique as a successful entrepreneur. What's up, everyone? This is Coach Amir from sevenfigurebody.com. And in this video, one of the things that is the most important to do on a diet when you're trying to lose weight, so you have some extra weight, you want to lose the gut or love handles, or basically just get leaner, maybe even get six-pack lean, the number one thing you need to measure is not your scale weight. So I talked a lot of times before about why scale is extremely unreliable and irrelevant measure to actually take, simply because for the most part. Now, why is that? It's because every day your weight will fluctuate several pounds up or down based on how many carbs you've eaten, how stressed out you are, how much water you've drank. And of course, if you're a woman, monthly cycle and different hormones dominating different weeks of the month is going to heavily affect your scale weight. So one day you can think, oh, it's amazing. In the last 2 days, I lost 5 pounds. No, you just flushed out the water. It's all water fluctuation. Of course, a couple of days later, you're going to be like, oh my God, I gained 6 pounds in the last 2 days. It's horrible. No, it's not. It's just water retention. Okay. So that's why scale weight is a pretty unreliable way. Now, of course, it's not 100% unreliable, and it's not like never use the scale. Here's the only way that I suggest using the scale and the way I use it with my clients. If somebody really wants to, they're like focus on the scale. Because remember, for the last 100 plus years, we've been told that the only thing that matters is your weight. So you are, I'm a 6'2" man, you're supposed to be weighing this much, right? On the other hand, if you're a woman and you're this height, you need to weigh 120 pounds, whatever. And of course, this is really irrelevant because I'm 6'2", I weigh 225, I'm fairly lean, and I really don't care that my BMI is putting me in an obese category, that I'm supposed to be 180 pounds or something according to these whatever universal charts. Imagine me at 45 pounds lighter. What would I be? I don't even know how I would look at 185 or something. So that's why, please remember, if you are going to use the scale, use it every day for a week and then average it out. Okay, weigh yourself every day for a week and then average it out. That's your kind of average weight that is the most accurate one, because there will be fluctuations every day. And then after that, you can use it either once or twice per week to just see how things are going. I like to, with my clients, especially for men, I like to use it once a week. For a lot of women, because they are so tied to that number on the scale, I like them not using the scale at all. If I see that they're so emotionally tied to that they're like, oh my God, my diet is on point, they're hitting the macros, doing the exercise, doing the steps, they're doing everything they're supposed to. And then after 3 weeks, it's like, oh, I only lost 2 pounds. It's like, yeah, but the body fat percentage shows that you dropped this much fat, you kept the muscle, maybe even built some muscle. It's amazing. I don't really care what the scale says. What we care about is what your actual changes on the body are. So that's why a lot of times I tell them to just ditch the scale at all. And a lot of times, because of that pressure that they have, they're like, oh my God, that was the greatest thing I've ever done. I feel so relieved when I don't have to put, look at what the number is on the scale. So if that's you, if you're very emotionally attached to that number, just get rid of the scale. It truly doesn't matter. The only thing that I use the scale for the clients that I do use it at all with, is to look at long-term trends over several weeks and months. Are the numbers generally going down? Because we know that, you can build muscle certainly in a deficit, and most of my clients do, but you can lose fat at a much faster rate than you can build muscle. You can build a pound of muscle a month. On the other hand, you can lose 4 to 6, maybe even more pounds of fat per month. So you build a pound of muscle, lose 6 pounds of fat, there's still a net deficit of, net loss of 5 pounds. So if after 3 months your weight is the same, it's probably not that you're building so much muscle that it's the same, right? That's why it's extremely important to measure body fat percentage, which I feel is infinitely more useful and better metric to look at. Now, how do we measure body fat percentage? Well, here's the picture, and you can see on the screen right now, you have different ranges of body fat percentage. Generally speaking, for most men, somewhere around 12, like 10 to 12% body fat is an amazing goal. You're going to look amazing. All of your immune system is going to be the strongest. All of your health parameters are going to be the ideal range at about 12%. And of course, most men will be happy with just being at 15%. So like flat stomach, you look pretty good. You're not six-pack lean, six-pack abs lean, but it's pretty damn good and very healthy. Awesome to be anywhere below 15% as a man. Women generally have about 8 to 10% higher fat percentage naturally, simply because women naturally have higher percentage of fat and lower percentage of muscle compared to a equally sized man. And therefore, for women, this range is about 20 to 25%. This is the ideal fat percentage that most women will probably feel and look the best at. This is not to say that you have to get here. No, it always depends on what you want. A lot of women are around 30% body fat and perfectly happy with that. That's okay. A lot of men can be anywhere below 20% and still be happy with that. That's awesome. I'm not saying that everybody should be six-pack lean or something actually, the opposite is true. I feel that most men will be happier not being six-pack lean, given how hard it is to maintain that level of leanness for a long time. So that's why, and you can look at the other, ranges here. 30% plus for men is really overweight and very, very unhealthy. For women, 35 to 40% or more is very unhealthy, etc., etc. So, how do you measure accurately? Well, we know that DEXA scan essentially is the kind of like the gold standard in the industry, but even DEXA scan has 3 to 4% margin of error. And depending on where you take the DEXA scan, it can be from $100 to $300 per scan. So it's very unlikely that most people will get access to this or even have the means and just logistics to do this on a regular basis. So because of that, it's actually much better to use a fat caliper. Basically, there's a Slim Guide caliper. I probably bought, I don't know how many, probably hundreds of these by now, because I send it to each of my clients when we start working together, and then I send them the video on exactly how to use it. And one thing I'll say is you get with each of these, they're usually like 10 to 15 bucks on Amazon, and very inexpensive, very simple and easy to use. Now, one thing that I'll say is, guys, I've measured thousands, literally thousands of people with this caliper. And I'll tell you one thing, the most important thing is looking at the trend, overall trend over time, and those numbers that you're measuring at the same spot every time being lower week to week to week, month to month to month. That is what matters. What the actual number is, so let's say if you're a man, you can measure the back of your arm, you can measure the chest here, you can measure the, like somewhere around the belly button area or stomach area. For a woman, it's probably best to measure, belly, middle of your thigh, and the back of your arm. Also, a lot of times for women, the subcutaneous fat or just like the leg, like the middle of your thigh area is very hard to pinch. You can't really separate the skin from the fat. And because of that, it's very hard to get a measurement from the thigh. In that case, what you do is you can just use a tape measure, which is another option. And of course, if you have a stomach, stomach kind of blows up a lot when you eat some kind of like very high fiber, for example, a lot of broccoli, like your stomach can be 2 to 3 inches bigger tomorrow or the next, like that night if you had a large amount of broccoli. So keep this in mind if you're using tape measure. Don't be discouraged by, this week I really stuck to my diet and my stomach is the same, or it's even 1/2 an inch or something bigger than it was. Oh, I'm not doing it right. No, you are. It's just remember that these things like, extending and shrinking of your stomach is completely normal. Happens kind of on a daily, especially weekly basis. So don't take these numbers as, oh my God, like everything is ruined. You basically have to just have faith in the system that you're using. And if you're using your calories and macros properly, you will be losing weight if you're in an actual deficit, right? So when it comes to calipers, for women, I suggest measuring the back of your right arm, your stomach area, and the back of the scapula, the shoulder blade, just under the shoulder blade. Please remember, try to measure the same exact spot every single time. And all you're trying to do every week, 2, 3, every month, try to see that number go down. Because if it is, you are losing weight. And remember, you are losing the weight from everywhere in the body. You're going to see it first at the spot where you have it the least, which is usually face. When you start losing weight, you're going to see it first. Your face is going to be, kind of going like this. That's usually where you see it first. At the place or spot in your body where you have the most fat, that's when you're going to see it last. So for men, it's usually the stomach area. That's why very few men have, like actual lean down to six-pack abs lean level. And for women, for a lot of women, it's basically butt and thigh area where they store the most fat. So that's where you will see the big changes last. That's just how it is. Physiology works that way. Nothing we can do about it. What we can do is, knowing that, be patient and just keep going, right? So number one is the DEXA scan if you can. A lot of times people can't do that, so it's really not an option for most people. The option that I use with all of my clients is the caliper. And just remember, measure. It's not really important when you get that little booklet with the caliper. It's not really important that you say, okay, this number, and this number, and this number, and because of that, I put it together, and this is my fat percentage. Those numbers can be very, very, very off a lot of times. Like you can have a guy not even have like visible abs, so he's above 13, 14% body fat. This measurement says that when you put it all with his age, and this chart sees that he's 8%. He's nowhere near 8%, right? It can also be vice versa. Somebody very lean can be showed that he's like 18% or whatever. So that doesn't actually matter what your fat percentage is at any point in time. What matters is, are we making progress or not? Are we getting leaner? Is your clothes fitting better? Do you feel better? Do you look better? And are we certainly measuring the numbers? Because remember, Peter Drucker said, what doesn't get measured doesn't get managed, but what gets measured and reported improves exponentially. So that's why it's very important to have a coach, a buddy, a community, some kind of thing that keeps you accountable so that you can actually report your progress or lack thereof. This is multiple times more likely to be successful when losing weight. So hope you find value in this video. That's how you measure your body fat percentage. The number one thing you should be measuring on a diet is your body fat percentage going down. And if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, please post it in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't already, click that like button and subscribe to the channel, of course, if you haven't already. And I appreciate your time. See you guys next time. Cheers.